We on?
Yep.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. We're back. Another lunch and learn today. Personalization versus privacy. How modern businesses can build trust, drive results, and still keep your data private. And it's only relevant to you. Welcome back to another one. Before we dive in, I just wanted to let some housekeeping. Subscribe, like the video, and the YouTubey things that all the YouTubers say to do. So to help us grow our channel and to share this with others, right? So take it away, Nate.
Yeah. Hello. Hello. We're back again talking about personalization and privacy. Um, I don't know about you, but I kind of enjoy when a website or someone who's sending me an automated email knows at least my first name. It's kind of, I mean, I know what's going on under the hood, but for some reason it still is like, oh, okay, well, they took the time to at least figure that out. So that's good. Yeah.
Yes. Yes,
Uh,
absolutely. It gives you the warm and fuzzies sometimes, like when a company, or especially even like a particular person in the company, maybe somebody high level, they reach out and they know your name. They know specifically where you are and what's going on with you, you know, and they reach out with that personal touch.
yes. Um, yeah, and but so there's also kind of a downside to this, right? While it's all good and everything that they know your first name, um, sometimes it can get a little bit, invasive, let's say, or a little bit eerie. I had
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. I had this tool set up on my website, which I still actually do. It identifies visitors that come to my website, right? And so
All right. Yes, I remember that.
I can get their
Yeah.
name, their email address, their phone number, their physical address, and this is all totally 100% legit and
It is legal.
legal in America.
Yeah.
If you don't know, look up the rules. There are rules that are, coming online which are differentiated amongst the states. It's just becoming this patchwork insanity. But I think anyway, so going back to what I was saying. I got somebody's email and they were entered into somehow they wound up on my newsletter list. I think what ended up happening was this is a person that I talked to, and I asked them if they wanted to be on the list, and they said yes. Um, but they came to my website later on and were identified with this tool, and the newsletter went to that email address, which happened to be their personal email address, not their business address. And so this person, spammed my email and unsubscribed. And in the comments, she said, "This is my personal email address. Not sure how you got this. Very concerning," something like that. And so, needless to say, I quickly deleted all that information, so I no longer have it. But yeah, I mean, this is a problem,
Yeah.
especially in United States where, for all intents and purposes, your data is no longer your own. So, there are,
Yeah.
like I
It's for
said,
sale.
yeah,
Hmm.
like I said earlier, there's these things, there's this sort of patchwork quilt that's being created amongst the states with their rules and all this kind of stuff. I'm not sure why this hasn't really been addressed at the federal level, which would make things a lot simpler. But uh, anyway, it's been crazy. We'll get into this a little bit more, but we're going to talk about how it's becoming more and more urgent for people to, people are getting really antsy about their privacy and data regulations and all this so on and so forth. Um, how we can, how every day brings a challenge of, as a marketer, as a business owner, you want to have these insights to help you grow your business. but at the same time, you don't want to violate your customer's trust, right?
Right.
And then we're also going to look at key questions, um, and maybe an interactive workshop. I don't think we're going to get to that, but anyway. Um, let's get on to the main topic. So why personalization matters in modern marketing. First and foremost, consumers expect it. I think we talked about that, right? You go to somebody's,
Yeah,
if you sign up for something like an email list, a newsletter, you expect in there somewhere that they're going to address you by name.
right. You
Back
know,
in the
we're
day,
in America, we don't want to be treated like a number. We want the business to know our name. We don't want to just be one of the number 42, number 23, number 524,
right,
you want
right.
to be, yeah, we want to be, we want to be treated as people. And we really value, we feel like that's one of the first, I guess, tenets of customer service really is to
Yeah.
know my name.
And maybe it has something to do with, you know, there's kind of like an understood certain amount of friction involved there. Like you took the time and effort
Mhm.
to put my name on there, spell it correctly, you
Yes.
know.
We like to feel important and
Yeah,
valued,
yeah.
right?
You
Yeah.
you spent your time to make me feel important, like you said. And even though nowadays it's it's all automated under the hood, right? You don't
Right.
there's no effort involved. But but
Yeah,
it
not
still
much.
maintains the illusion, I think. That maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
Um, all right. So anyway, there's a guy named Jay Bear. He's a customer experience expert, and he is all about personalization in marketing, especially. And he believes that personalization is absolutely critical to the customer experience. However, he believes strongly that you don't want to just do personalization just to do it. Like it needs to be helpful um, because it's actually bringing value to the customer, and you're not doing it just because you can. Okay,
Mm.
so it's crucial to make that distinction and understand, what the difference is there. I think.
In some ways it makes sense, in some ways it doesn't. So like say if I
Yeah,
were to walk into a McDonald's one day and I'm ordering a filet of fish and somebody said, the person comes to the counter and says, "Here's your filet of fish, Simone."
yeah.
I think
How
it
did you
might
know
be
my name?
jarring. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like,
She
why do
got it
you
from
know
my
my
credit
name?
card. Yeah. Yeah. There was, well, I was in Tennessee this weekend. We talked about earlier. We went to this local, it might be a chain restaurant, but I've never heard of it before. And I can't remember the name of it now, off the top of my head. I apologize. But they serve these, Southern biscuits with, there's, you can get chicken on it and all kinds of goodies, eggs and bacon and gravy and whatnot. You go in there and first of all, they have 1,500 Google reviews on their Google Business profile, and it's like 4.9 stars. I'm like, wow, wow, what is going on at this place?
Hmm.
Um, and the way they have it set up is kind of unusual. You go in there and you have to actually look at the menu maybe at your table or while you're standing in line, and then you order. It's not like a sit down where they have waitresses or waiters that come out to you. You have to go up there to them and order it. And if you want to get a free uh, breakfast, cinnamon biscuit or whatever, you can sing your favorite karaoke song. And then and then you have to like hum a few bars or sing a few bars of it while you're standing in
Oh,
line.
that's cool.
And the person behind the cash register is like, "Oh yeah, I know that one," and like singing along with you. Like,
Oh, that's
but
cool.
but when they call it, later on, when your food is done, they call it out by the song that you
By
sang.
the song. I love it.
So,
I love it. That's good.
I mean, that's an interesting take on personalization, right?
It is.
But
It is. I can see why they have so many great Google
yeah,
reviews.
yeah, like wow, start your day off right there, sing the song, sing your
Yeah.
favorite song, right? Um,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
yeah, so that is, something that would be, I would say, valuable to the customer on a number of different levels, and there is friction and certain amount of effort involved there, right? On both parts to
Yeah.
make that happen. So
Yeah, absolutely.
just that added dimension, right? Um, anyway, so I would call that a tailored experience in that case.
Right.
But campaigns, personalized campaigns especially, are known for, making people open the email, using their first name in the subject line, right?
Right.
Um, Generating leads, retaining customers, all of these things, personalization becomes key and absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
Um,
There's one thing that I've been working on for an automated system is to have it where the system, either AI generated or automation, a different type of automation where it will, when it comes to customer retention, the customer gets to a certain milestone as they're working with you, and the system can then start to recommend the next steps for that customer based on based on their milestones. And that's a level of personalization where it's like, um, let's have a chat and let's look at all the different options. It's instead of doing that, it's more like, well, we know this is where you are, this is what you've been through. So this is what we recommend as your next step, rather than here's a smorgasbord of options for you that
yeah,
you can choose from, and your eyes are glazing over and you're getting
yeah,
dizzy.
yeah, 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 yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I went on to a website the other day. It was I clicked on an ad for a foldable kayak. I don't know why I thought it sounded cool. So I looked at the website and it's pretty slick the way they have it set up, but the range of options and choices is a little bit overwhelming. Luckily, they have a tool baked in that says, "Hey,
That's good.
click here to answer some questions, and we'll help guide you to the right one for you."
That's
I mean,
good. Yeah,
that's
because like it's decision fatigue and people get overwhelmed
yeah,
with
yeah,
all of the options. So yeah,
yeah,
if they can have that guidance,
yeah,
then that would actually help you to get the sale that much faster and more often, because you're taking away so much of that overwhelm when it comes
yeah.
to, you know, well, the decisions that people have to make.
And when it comes to ROI and figuring out, is this all worth it, right? How do we put this into numbers? According to Google, Amazon apparently attributes 31% of their revenue to their personalization engine on their website.
Hmm.
I mean, when you're talking, what are they making every year? I mean, it's billions, right?
Yeah. And yeah, 31% of billions is a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. And they do a good job because they keep track of what you're searching, they keep track of what you're buying, they keep track of, like, everything you look at. Um, and so
Um,
they're able to recommend the what products complement what you've already bought and all that kind of stuff.
yeah.
I have a feeling too. Oh, and then they also have the whole one click thing, right? So just click here and boom, you bought it.
Hmm.
Your
Yeah.
payment information is stored on the site. So
Hmm.
so there's
Less
no friction
friction.
there. They're removing a lot of the friction.
Yep.
Um, and then I have given up my Prime account, but every so often I want to order from, there might be something on Amazon I want. I can't find it anywhere else. And they give me an option for free shipping, even though I don't have a Prime account, So they try to make it as easy as possible for you to buy from them,
Mhm.
whether you have Prime or not.
Yes. And going along with this is the addition of using AI to help with that personalization,
Hmm.
um, which is an interesting idea and concept.
Right.
And apparently, from at least one source, I think it's Media Culture is the name. Companies that are using AI for personalization get a lift in their revenue of around between 5 and 15%. Um, and they also have improved efficiency, marketing spend efficiency of 10 to 30%. So that means they're not only increasing revenue, but there's a significant reduction in wasted spend when it comes to that using AI.
And it makes sense because with AI has the ability to analyze the data so quickly and give you recommendations. Um, I the way I feel like AI works the best is if you give it good data, and then it can take its predictive model and predict, what's next. In a company like Amazon that has everything, it can take what a customer has, their whole purchasing history, how much, what their average purchase amount is, what they've been searching for, what they've bought in the past, all of that. Take that and put that up against Amazon's like catalog, and say, well, this is what this person has. This is their buying habits, what they've been searching for, all of that, and the average price of the things that they've been looking at, that they purchased in the past, and the stuff that they've been looking at. Well, this is what we recommend to you based on what you've already been, and they can get it right because they're aggregating all of that history, and so they can predict what your budget is, and what kind of things you like, maybe
Yeah.
even the ratings of it.
Yeah. I mean,
This person
and
only
there's,
buys like stuff that has a rating of 5 stars or more,
yeah.
with 500 or more ratings to it or something, so
Uh,
they can take all that information and give you great recommendations based on that. And AI can
there's,
crunch the numbers so quickly.
yeah. And the sheer amount of data that's available for purchase about
Mhm.
you as an individual out there is staggering, really.
Yeah,
And
it really
using,
is.
so I think in theory, all of these different tidbits of information about you, I think cannot be sold together as a package, but using AI, you can bring together that AI can actually bring it together for you and start to make sense out of who you are as an individual. I can see if it's not already here. Someone comes to the website, right? You have the like I mentioned earlier about the identification, right? So you identify the individual that's coming. It gets sent to the system, and AI combines it with all the other information that it has access to, and very
Mhm.
quickly could bring up um, a list of ideas or the most the path that is most likely to lead you to a purchase based on your actual
Yeah, your actual
behaviors.
history and everything. Yeah, all your behaviors. Yeah.
And so like you're no longer subject to um, like there's almost like no way you're going to get out of it. You know,
Right, right. Because it's the system knows you so well based on your previous
that's
behavior.
that's getting kind of eerie, isn't it?
It is.
If I'm thinking about this, other people have thought about this.
Right. And the companies with the you know mounds of cash that they can throw at a problem like this to come up with a solution and and sell you on stuff.
Hmm.
They're oh yeah, you better bet they're thinking about this
Yeah,
because they're they're using the tools available to them
yeah, yeah.
to bring that sales process, to shorten the sales cycle and sell more and make a bigger profit and you know make their
Um,
shareholders that much happier.
yeah. And just to kind of, further expound on what kind of stuff is available on you, I have access to another tool that can identify you based on the searches that you are performing anywhere, not just on my website, but anywhere. And that includes Google, Bing, Yahoo within a website, even if you're doing a search, it's any kind of search related query. Um, if it's related to a keyword and you performed a search related to that keyword anywhere, then if I'm looking within that, I can narrow it down to within like zip codes and find the people that are searching for that keyword in that zip code. And it gives me your name, address, phone number, um, email. I can get your home value, your yeah, like it starts to get really your estimated home value, your estimated net worth, your net estimated income, you know, and all this kind of stuff. It's pretty. It's all
Wow.
encompassing, and it's 100% legal. It's just
And
nothing nefarious in America.
right. Well, yeah. The crazy thing is it always starts out being not nefarious, but then
Yeah,
you put these great and wonderful tools into the wrong hands, and next
yeah,
thing you know, you have scammers who know you so well, you
mhm.
know,
Yeah. That
we're up to no good.
all that data that credit card companies are collecting on you,
Yeah.
for example, how do you think they make their money?
That's it. That's your whole purchase history, everything that you're interested in, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I remember hearing this story about uh, those all of those discount cards that the grocery stores are so
Oh
happy to
yes,
hand out to you, right?
yes. Oh
Those
yes.
and every time you purchase, you're scanning those cards and they're getting
Yeah.
all that data about your
Oh yeah.
purchase history and what it is you're doing.
Yeah.
And
We get
so then they use those to advertise to you what you're most likely to want
yeah.
to buy.
We
Well,
get
I heard this
coupons every
story,
month for the
the
things that we
coupons and
usually
all that.
buy.
Right.
Like,
I heard this story once about this lady got an ad in the she got an ad to her home. She lived with her mother. She got an ad to her home, and that they just started advertising, or sending her coupons for diapers and baby formula and baby oil and all this stuff, all this baby related stuff. They knew she was pregnant before she told anybody in her family
yeah.
because of the stuff that she and her mother is like, what are you pregnant?
Yeah.
And I was like, I was
Yeah.
gonna tell you. The store told her mother before she got a chance to.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just nuts. It's really
Hmm.
crazy. I mean, it's fabulous for the store because they have all this great data that they can use to sell you on their products. But as a regular person, it is very, very eerie and disconcerting.
Yeah. I think everybody's had that experience where they've been talking about something, right? And then
Mhm.
a few minutes later, they look at their phone and they're being shown an ad for that thing. You know,
Yeah.
that's the one
Yeah.
thing that freaks everybody out and wondering what in the world is going on there.
Like our
Um,
devices are listening. Actually, yeah.
all of the companies swear they're not listening.
Right. They swear they're not listening, but they are, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, my Google app just popped up on my tablet a few minutes ago because of something we were talking about. And it's like, hi, how can I help you with that? And it's like,
yeah,
no, nobody's talking to you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, anyway, so obviously there's some real concerns here.
Hmm.
It seems like every other week you're hearing about somebody having this huge data leak, this huge hack,
Yeah.
and all this kind of stuff. I mean, what was it? Yeah, what was it? It was just like last year. There was a massive one where it was like millions of people's social security numbers, all their personally identifiable information leaked in a hack. It
My
was like 100,
goodness.
100 million people or something like that. It was crazy. It was a lot.
That's incredible. That is incredible.
I know that all of my information is out there. I get notifications. I have all kinds of like, you know, um, what do you call them? Like they're scanning the dark web for me,
Right.
uh,
Yeah.
all these
Yeah.
notifications from dark web scanners saying your information was found on the dark web. Oh, well,
Yeah.
thanks. Your password is compromised for this website. Consider changing it. Like,
And it's right. And it's all for sale. Whoever, the highest
my
bure can
my
get all your
credit cards
information.
are my credit cards are in a constant state of, they're frozen at block of ice. Constantly. That's the only way you can function anymore because you got to watch
Right.
out.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
anyway, so there's all these concerns about, who has the data, what are they doing with it, uh, how much control is involved there, how much control do I have over who has my data, and of course, you know, are they misusing it, and if so, how? Um, and then there's all kinds of regulations, like I talked about. So GDPR, CCPA, CCPA is California, I believe. GDPR is the European Union, and I use an app called Termly.io, which is pretty good. They can create terms and conditions for your website, and they keep tabs on all the developments in all the states so that they can constantly keep their terms and conditions up to date for the different states, right? You can specify in there the states that you want or that you are doing your primary business in, but if you're a nationwide company, you're doing business online, so you could operate theoretically in any state. You really need to understand and have that, so you're CYA, right? You're covered. Um, because it's crazy. It's a real patchwork. And this is just this year, I think half of the states have their own rules regarding data privacy. So we're 25 and counting now. So do you know all the different rules and regulations? Like I don't.
I certainly don't, right?
I know that's
And how do you
California
keep
has the
up with them all?
strictest probably, but I know
Yeah.
Virginia is pretty strict too. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, yeah. So I think Indiana is like one of those. I'm in Indiana, one of those ones that doesn't have rules right now, but or they're very, very thin if they do. But
Mm,
it's common, everybody's gonna have to have something. Um, so I guess, what the question here is, what information do you collect on your customers? And when is less more? I think when you have a form that collects information, right? You have some kind of a tool or a downloadable or a lead magnet that people want to sign up for, so they have access to. And in exchange, they give you their contact information, name, address. Excuse me, name and email address, right? That's the
mm.
basics, and you can get the rest later.
Basic.
But
Right. And they say the best thing to do is only ask for the information you need.
Yeah.
So
Oh, phone
I
number
have
too. I think that's important.
right. Phone number two is one of the ones that gets added a lot more lately. Like I collect phone numbers because I text my list.
Hmm.
Um, so I need your phone number if I'm going to text you. But I'll see some forms that are asking for your full name. 'Cause I generally just ask for the first name because that's what I'm going to be putting in the email. I only really need your full name um, when you become a client, you
Yeah.
know. But if you're a
Yeah.
lead, I really just need your first name. Um, and then
Mhm.
I saw somebody for the lead magnet, and it's a downloadable lead magnet. They're asking for a full mailing address. What are you going to do with a mailing address if you're not actually sending me something?
Yeah.
You know? So, um, yeah, if you're, I feel like that's a friction point there, and you have to justify what are you doing with all this information if you're not actually using it. Are you selling it? Are you passing it on to somebody else for their list? What are you doing with
Yeah.
this information? Is it just sitting on your databases and you're not using it, but it's open for all your employees to see and all that stuff. And it's not being used to ship me a book or anything. What's it doing there? Right.
Yeah.
So,
So that's where your terms and conditions come and become important so that you've actually
yeah.
worked that out ahead of time.
And your
And
privacy
you're putting,
policies.
yes, you're putting that on your website and you're putting it on all of your forms to let people know, hey, if you want to all that information, it's right here, check it out, read it for yourself. And being transparent about it, right? I think that's crucial. Nothing,
Right.
nothing, nothing starts to trip off my alarms more than the lack of that kind of thing on a website. Like, what is going on here? Like, oh, I don't want anything to do with that. It may seem like, there's just like, you don't want to like let people like it's like it's almost like for me anyway. There was like this hesitation at first because I didn't want to like cross that line if I didn't really need to because you know I don't know, maybe it's just you didn't want to like break that fourth barrier. I don't know, maybe, right? But really it's about protecting you, it's about protecting them. And honestly, if it's there, most people aren't even going to read it, but just the fact that you took the effort to put it there says, hey, this guy has nothing really to hide, right?
Right.
And it's almost like an assumption, good or bad, I think, for the end user. But you know,
You have to
at
show
least
that
it's
you
there.
do care about it. You have thought about it, and this is a policy that you have. You're not just
Yeah,
kind of, oh, let me just collect your information and I'm not going to tell
right.
you anything. There needs to be some openness there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So we're kind of talking about ways to be transparent and making it clear that you are opting into this, right? Um, don't try to keep it as plain as possible. I know it's real easy to get into the legalese, but nobody's going to want to read all that. If you ever tried reading through Google's, agreements on its, for example, oh
Yeah.
wow,
I
um,
heard recently that, and I don't know if this is still the case, because every new administration brings with it new rules and regulations, and sometimes what one administration was working on, another one, decides scrap that, setting it aside. But I had heard that there was a push in the federal government for a lot of these policies to be written in plain English,
yeah, yeah,
where it, kind of a getting away from getting away from the legalese so
yeah,
that you can look at a terms of use and actually understand what it's saying,
yeah.
because most of us are not lawyers. And I have heard that a lot of lawyers don't even understand what uh what a lot of these policies say.
You
We're
need
just
a AI
agree
to
to
help you
stuff, but we don't know
interpret.
what they say, what they mean, what we're agreeing to,
Yeah,
or anything. Um,
Yeah.
well, this was one use case I found for Notebook LM was to upload some of these, especially some of the companies whose tools that I use the most. I'll upload their policies into Notebook LM and have Notebook LM explain it to me in simple terms. What does this say? If I get into trouble with this company, if I have a dispute with this company, what do I need to know? What's my
Hmm.
responsibility versus their
Yeah.
responsibility, that kind of thing. So you know, because for the most part, we don't know.
There's a website I enjoy occasionally called it's on boingboing.net. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but they go on at length sometimes about the abusive privacy policies on some websites, pages, and all kinds of stuff. They call it abusive, like, the fact that you're making people read this, and it's just, ugh, it's so difficult to slog through, um, knowing full well that they're not going to, and so you can hide all kinds of good stuff in there, right? You know,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. That's a great place to hide it because you know nobody's going to look at it, right?
Best place to hide
I
it
have
is right out in
seen
the
some,
open.
right? I've seen some sites where they kind of make you, they kind of force you to go through it before you can check accept terms.
Yeah.
I accept. You have
Well,
to
there's like you have to scroll to the
you'll
bottom.
have
So
to scroll
that's
all the
the
way down to the
proof.
bottom
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
the button will activate.
Yeah.
Um, but of course, even in a case like that, they can say maybe in a court of law, hey, we made every effort to make sure that you understand our terms of service because we made sure that you read it first. No, I didn't read it first. I just scrolled to the bottom to get the
Hmm.
button to activate so I can move on.
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know
So I can get my shiny
so,
thing. Yeah.
yeah, and get my shiny thing. I want to get behind
Um,
the wall.
yeah. So there's another kind of option here is to make it tiered personalization options. So you can sort of like if it kind of depends on the comfort level of the user in that case, right? That's going to take some more effort and thought, but it could end up being a good way to go if given that everybody's more and more concerned about this type of thing, right? That way you're not losing customers, in other words, because of your privacy policies or lack thereof, right? So another idea
So give
how
us
to
some
do that.
examples of tiered personalization.
Oh, I mean, it's kind of like if you go to a website and they have the different cookies, right? The cookie banner that you
Mm.
see. It's kind of like that, right? That is an example, I think, of a tiered level of personalization. So you can actually personalize the the type of information that's being collected through these cookies about you based on your selection in that case. Um, so if you don't want any cookies, obviously that's a choice, right? Whereas I think in the US especially, it's very easy. If you just click, accept, then you've accepted all of them, right? And they can collect whatever
Right.
information they want on you then at that point.
Most sites don't give you the option to personalize and
Not in the
customize
US, it's
those
not
cookies. You
required,
just
right?
ah, so you
But
just
in the
accept or deny. Huh.
Yeah, from what I understand, GDPR policy requires you to like explain, be explicit about it
Mm.
and give the option at all times to to choose what level you want. Whereas in the US, you could set by default the most broad category
Mhm.
of information collection, right? That could be the default.
Right. And
So
then
if you
just
hit
put a
accept,
notification.
right?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
accept. That's it. Because I've seen some where, yeah, it's just I accept all cookies, or, well, no, that's the only option. You don't even have the option to deny. The banner
yeah,
just stays up there. It says I accept all cookies, and that
yeah.
is,
Well, and
in order to get rid
unless,
of it, you have to click the button.
yeah, I think if I think it's California, maybe Virginia. If you're going to be operating in those states, you have to give them the option. But
Mm.
otherwise, you know, I think those are the only two states where that it has to be, you have to have that option. But anyway, I could
Interesting.
be wrong about that. If they can, the viewers can feel free to correct in the comments as required. But that would be an example of tiered personalization, and then it could also get down to once you're, at the account level, what information they're willing to give you about the company and that kind of thing, right? One of my like there's uh the the user experience for signing up for a meeting with me. Certain meetings require the user to put information in there about like their revenue, for example. But I do give them the option to say rather not say. So,
Mm.
but they have certain questions that they have to answer. So this is my way of further
Yeah,
gathering information
qualifying your
about them and
list.
further
Yeah.
qualifying them. But I don't do it all at once on the one form, right? It's
Mhm.
as the relationship goes and as they become more interested and want to take the next steps, then I get more information and that kind of stuff, right? At that point,
Right.
but all of it is collected into one location, safeguarded and all this, right? Of course. But anyway, so that would be an example. And then, of course, asking your customers how they feel, what their expectations are, getting their feedback. That's always a good idea.
Always, always. Hmm.
Yeah. So, all right. All right. We're going to, or I think we're not going to do the workshop. So let's just go to let's do the recap. So we talked about, what did we talk about? We talked about why personalization matters in marketing today,
Mm.
how it can help you as a company, what kind of ROI you can get out of it, potentially. But also the privacy concerns that people have, right? Um, and how it's important for you to take that into consideration, especially nowadays when all this is going on and everything's happening. If you can show your customers that you're taking it seriously and protecting their privacy, that could go a long way for you. Um, and but you're also finding ways that you can use this information to help build that personalization, but without breaking that trust. So that's kind of what we talked about. Um, all right. Takeaways. What are what takeaways do we have, Simone? You
Well, that um, in the world that we're living in today, that personalization is key when it comes to providing a high level of customer service and making your customers feel warm and welcome and valued. However, it can get out of hand, and it's yeah, and it's hard to really keep as an individual. Um, unless you're just not on the internet, it's hard to keep your data private. It's hard to keep that information private. It's out there. If you're interacting on the internet, that data is out there. Um, so, I mean, we didn't talk about how, because that's not the scope of this discussion, but just know, like as a business, it's a good idea. Personalization is a fantastic idea. Um, and using the data that's available to you is really key in helping you to get and keep your clients. Um, but be ethical about it. Don't abuse it, and, and don't
yeah,
go out
yeah,
there, sharing it with others, right? Um, and only collect the data that you need, and be open about what you're doing with the data that you collect.
yep. Um, transparency, allowing transparency and choice, I think are key to building up that trust level with your customers. Um,
Absolutely.
and being transparent about your data policies is one of those, right? Key a key indicator of what it's going to be like to work with you, I think, right? And so that could actually make or break the relationship. So,
Yeah. All
all right.
righty. So that is it for us today. And I forgot to say this at the beginning. We are Nate and Simone. We talk all things marketing. This discussion about personalization versus privacy is a marketing discussion. Why? Because marketing is part of the tools, and using the tools and the messaging, and it touches your operations, how you operate with your clients, and what you do with your finances to help you grow your revenue. So, so yes, it all comes into it. And if you don't have these policies in place, then it could hurt your business. It could hurt your growth. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, thank you for being with us today. Um, Absolutely. Let us know what your favorite takeaways were, and how are you keeping what's your privacy policy? Like, how are you keeping your customers' data? How are you using it, and how are you keeping it private? How are you using it to make them feel welcome and supported, while at the same time not being free and open with it, right? So let us know if you have any unique ideas, or if you don't have a unique idea. If you want to say the same thing that everybody else has been saying, it's totally cool. We're here to listen. And
Always, always.
yeah, and if you need any help personalizing your services and how you interact with your clients, feel free, reach out to us. We are here to help. All right. So thank you for being here with us, and